YouTube? This is our 4G63 Army channel that we started a couple months ago. We never really got to explain any other cars, mods, or start them up without any music in the videos. So, all right, here we go. This is my car, the '98 Spyder 2.0, fully built. I'm gonna explain, I guess, everything from the bottom end up. Bottom end consists of a Manley Turbo Tough crank, Manley rods, Wiseco HD pistons, a little lower compression, ACL race bearings throughout, balance shafts removed. Coming up further, stock head, redecked, pressure tested by Napa, stock valves, BC 272 cams with the high rev springs, Feria valve locks, let's see what else, Spyro 9mm wires by Taylor, FIC 950 injectors, Aeromotive 1000 fuel pressure regulator, Aeromotive A1000, I'm sorry, Walbro 255 LPH fuel pump, stock intake manifold with a Magnus plastic intake manifold gasket, stock throttle body, cruise control delete throttle cable on there, the turbocharger, PTEs, billet, journal bearing 6262, and that's on a stock 2G DSM manifold that's heavily ported inside with a tile 40 wastegate. ARP hardware throughout the whole car. Anything I could have got ARP for, I did. Mishimoto radiator, FP intake, VR Speed Factory front mount intercooler with piping. Has a Ready Type R blow off valve on it. JM Fab oil catch can. There's a GM MAF translator set up here for the blow through to vent this blow off valve to the atmosphere. It's kind of how you got to do it on a DSM without any idle problems and all that. What the fuck else? I mean, all new OEM parts, whatever you can think of. Timing belt, water pump, inside the engine, main girdle bolts, factory OEM bolts to hold the crank in, ARP head studs, Mitsubishi MLS head gasket, Avid Racing full race motor mounts throughout the whole car, Punishment Racing O2 housing, no dump obviously because it dumps out the wastegate side, tuned on ECM link at around 32 pounds of boost by myself and John the cameraman mostly. Had a little trouble figuring it out in the beginning. This car ran on a translator setup for about 2 years, even with this turbo, at about 20 psi when I finished it to break it in. And I like the translator setup. I mean, it's kind of limited, but it works. It's a cheap way to get more power in these things. Stock transmission with a ACT 2600 unsprung 6-puck clutch with their chromoly steel flywheel. Mitsubishi OEM slave and master cylinders with the stainless clutch line that just runs from the master to the slave. It's down there. HBC Pro boost controller. Headlight mod in the front. Power steering delete. My power steering pump took a shit the other day, so I just took that out and capped these lines. I'm gonna remove these lines when the weather breaks here. Hawk brake pads with DBA rotors on stock wheels. Underneath there we got a Takiko gas shock on an iBox spring that lowered the car a little bit. It's not slammed. I don't want it that way. Inside, we did these eBay racing seats. I don't even know what company they are, with 5-point harness, with a custom harness bar welded in the back across the frame of the car. That's welded in. Gauge wise, We have an AM wideband, a glow shift 30 psi boost gauge, and an Innovate EGT gauge. There's a Megan Racing short shifter under there, under the shift knob. I did the shorty knob mod when you cut the knob and weld it back together so it's shorter. I don't really know anything else. I put a new top on it. This Megan Racing exhaust, 3-inch all the way through. No cats, no resonators, and right now it's running an open downpipe. I basically took the midsection of the exhaust out, so it runs an open DP. We'll start it up in a minute. I don't know anything else. I fucking know if I missed anything. You know, a lot of new OEM parts, thermostat, all that shit is brand new. And it took me about 2 years. So this is it. We'll start it up. We just wanted to. Clutch switch mod. You don't have to press the clutch in to start the car. The car is a 7-bolt block, and it did crank walk on me with the stock bottom end in it. That was the whole reason for the rebuild. I got lucky. The thrust bearings that wear out in this car, they were worn, but they weren't gone, so it didn't carve into the block. So I had to do absolutely no machining. All I did was I honed the cylinder banks for the pistons, and that was it. And knock on wood, it's been running for 2.5 years now. So I did the clutch mod so you don't have to push on the clutch when it's cold and wear the thrust bearings, but it starts right up. 54,000 miles on the transmission and the block and the head. Like I said, the head was all redone. The transmission is in very good shape. It doesn't grind, it doesn't pop out, it's not hard to shift. I did do a shift fork modification in there. I put a shift fork from Competition Clutch in there, and I shimmed out the fork with a couple more washers. So when you press that clutch in, it definitely engages. That's a little problem with DSMs. Sometimes you get that. Shout out to Extreme PSI, I guess, on this one.